Welcome back. In part 1 we established that this isn't just a rock, it's an ancient fossilized tooth, dredged up from the now submerged Ice Age landscape of Doggerland. If you missed it, click the link above. In part 2 we're going to answer the question that's been on our minds: what creature once used this spectacular cutting and crushing tool? Carnivores' teeth are easy to recognize. They have those sharp canines for tearing and not many molars. Herbivores are the opposite. Wide, flat molars for grinding plants and usually only few or no canines at all. Ours is a bit of an oddball. The tall crown and deep cavities don't suit grinding, but it's not sharp enough for meat either. Teeth, though, come in endless variations depending on diet. Still, high crown teeth usually point to a herbivore. Apart from the missing roots, the tooth's crown is in excellent condition. These days, with online databases and AI tools, it doesn't take much to play armchair paleontologist. Still, we cross-checked with a specialist at the Naturalis Biodiversity Center in Leiden. Highly recommended if you're ever in town, it's a museum that's worth the ticket. Their experts confirmed our verdict. This is a molar from one of the most iconic creatures of the Ice Age, the woolly rhinoceros, or Coelodonta Antiquitatis. The name Coelodonta comes from ancient Greek for hollow tooth, a nod to the deep cavities in its crown. Antiquitatis is Latin for ancient times. Put together, the hollow tooth of antiquity. Simple, descriptive and accurate. The woolly rhinoceros was no small fry. Covered in thick hair to survive the Ice Age, it carried 2 huge horns on its skull. Adults stretched 3 to 4 meters or 10 to 13 feet long, about the size of a family car, and weighed up to 2 metric tons. They often had a raised hump over the shoulders, probably to support a heavy head and horns. It doubled as a fat reserve, much like a camel's, fuel for the lean frozen months. The front horn alone could reach 1.5 meters up to 4.5 feet, longer than that of any modern rhino. The smaller horn behind it was about half a meter. Fossil wear patterns suggest the giant horn was used for combat as well as brushing away snow while grazing. In other words, the Stone Age's original snowplow. So how can we be so sure this is from a woolly rhino? Well, we have 2 key pieces of evidence. The first is context. We know this tooth came from the Doggerland seabed, a landmass that was only dry during the Ice Ages. Europe hosted several rhino species in the Pleistocene. Merck's rhinoceros, the narrow-nosed rhinoceros, the legendary Elastomoderium, better known as the Siberian unicorn, and of course the woolly rhinoceros. While other rhino species did live in Europe at the same time, they preferred a different habitat, like forested lands. The woolly rhino, on the other hand, was a tundra specialist. Its thick coat and giant horns were perfect for a harsh, open landscape. Several Coelodonta Antiquitatis fossils were found in the North Sea, and none or rarely any of the other species, providing the evidence that they were the dominant rhino species of Doggerland. The second piece of evidence is the tooth itself. Remember that high, W-shaped crown and thick, bumpy enamel? Those features are a perfect match for the woolly rhino's diet of tough grasses and shrubs. Other species, like Merck's rhino, had much thinner enamel and shallower folds. Modern rhinoceros teeth, while sharing some similarities, also differ in enamel thickness, presence of the deep cavities and adaptation to specific diets. The details in the tooth's anatomy are like a signature from the past, confirming its identity beyond a shadow of a doubt. So where exactly in the rhino's jaw did this tooth fit? Adult woolly rhinos had no incisors. They had 3 premolars and 3 molars on each side. By comparing our find to this fossilized jaw, we were able to pinpoint its position. It's the 3rd premolar from the right lower jaw. The tilt of the crown is an important clue. Upper molars, by the way, are much more symmetrical. If you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It's completely free and it's the best way to help our videos reach a wider audience. Thanks a lot for your support. Our tooth height of 6 cm or 2.4 inch without the roots could match with an adult specimen, which teeth, depending on the location, measure between 6 and 10 cm or 2.4 to 3.7 inches including the roots. Our tooth shows very little wear, which is surprising. Older woolly rhinos display extensive wear and loss of their anterior premolars from a lifetime of intense grazing. This lack of abrasion suggests our tooth belonged to a young adult or even a juvenile who died prematurely. Quite surprisingly, a quick look at the family tree reveals that the modern horse and the rhinoceros share common ancestors. And when you look at the modern rhinos alive today, our woolly rhino's closest living relative is the critically endangered Sumatran rhinoceros. History repeats itself, but this time the responsibility lies solely with the humans that poach it for its horn and reduce and fragment its habitat with agricultural expansion, logging and urban development. Adult woolly rhinos with their size and horns had little to fear. Their calves, however, were preyed on by cave hyenas, cave lions and Ice Age wolves. The horns weren't just snowplows, they were also used as weapons. Cave paintings even show woolly rhinos in combat. Male rhinos were likely territorial, especially during the mating season. Fossil skulls and ribs show injuries that are clear signs of horn-to-horn battles. Compared to modern rhinos, they seem to have fought more often. It's believed that as their habitat shrank, competition for resources became fierce. Doggerland wasn't just home to giant animals, it was also a seasonal home to Mesolithic hunter-gatherers. Archaeologists have found ancient tools on the seabed, left behind by a people who lived a nomadic life, following the seasons and the herds. And yes, they encountered the woolly rhino. While direct evidence is rare, rhino bones with markings from human weapons were found, proving they were hunted and scavenged, likely for their meat and bone marrow. Their bones and horns were also valuable raw materials for tools and weapons. But the most striking evidence of their relationship comes from art. In places like the Chauvet cave in France, we find stunning cave paintings of woolly rhinos dating back over 31,000 years. These aren't crude stick figures, they're detailed, lifelike portraits, showing the rhino's massive horns, humpback and shaggy coat. For these ancient artists, the woolly rhino wasn't just a food source, it was a muse, a defining figure in their world. But this partnership with humans was not to last. As the last ice age ended, the massive glaciers began to melt, and rising sea levels slowly but surely flooded Doggerland, swallowing the hunting grounds and forcing both the rhinos and their human neighbors to retreat. Paleontologists often use absolute dating methods like radiocarbon dating. Relative dating methods were just fine in our case. The law of superposition tells us that lower layers are older than those above. Our fossil came from loose North Sea sediments, which means it's relatively young. To put it in perspective, dinosaurs in Europe lived over 65 million years ago, leaving fossils deep in compacted rock. Megalodon shark teeth, 25 to 5 million years old, do also turn up on the seabed. But our woolly rhino tooth fits into a later story, that of the last ice ages, when Doggerland was dry land. As the climate warmed, the land gradually sank beneath the sea between 16,000 and 6,000 years before Common Era. That means our tooth is certainly older than 6,000 years before Common Era, and probably much older. Through phylogenetics, the study of evolutionary family trees, we know our tooth belonged to Coelodonta Antiquitatis, the woolly rhinoceros. The species originated in the King Tibetan Plateau around 3.6 million years ago. It spread westwards, first arriving in Britain and Doggerland about 400,000 to 300,000 years ago. The last woolly rhinos vanished from Europe around 12,000 years before Common Era, with the end of the last ice age. But evidence shows they disappeared from Doggerland a lot earlier, roughly 35,000 years ago. So our tooth likely dates somewhere between 300,000 and 35,000 years before present. A generous range on a human scale, but a rather exact pinpoint on the paleontological timescale that covers a few billion years. By the way, you may have noticed that on the timescale above we use the Gregorian calendar. That is a convention in archaeology, but that in this video we sometimes use the term before present. The latter is more commonly used to date deep past events and applies to paleontology. Present in this context, funnily, is the year 1950, the year the first radiocarbon dates were published, and chosen to make the reference consistent and unambiguous. By the end of the last ice age, the woolly rhinos were in retreat. They vanished from much of Europe around 16,000 years ago, with their last traces around 11,600 years ago, the dawn of the Holocene. Their downfall is expected to have come from a 1-2 punch: rapid climate change and human hunting. As Earth warmed, grasslands gave way to shrubs and trees which lacked their preferred food. More snow fell, and with their short legs, rhinos weren't exactly built for plowing through drifts. At the same time, humans likely added pressure by hunting them. In the end, the population fragmented until the species disappeared. Spectacular remains have since been found frozen in Siberian permafrost. In 2007, miners unearthed this first entire woolly rhino carcass, astonishingly well preserved after 39,000 years. A time capsule in fur and horn. And there you have it. This unassuming piece of rock is actually the third premolar of the lower jaw of an Ice Age icon, the Coelodonta Antiquitatis or woolly rhinoceros. This magnificent beast roamed the Doggerland tundra between 300,000 and 35,000 years ago, before being driven to extinction by a combination of climate change and human hunting. With its superb condition and stunning detail, this isn't just a tooth. It's a direct link to a lost world. Not a bad catch from a beach walk. However, it would be nice if we could narrow down the time frame more. Do you know of clues that can help do an even more precise age determination of this tooth? Please share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us tell more of these dig site stories. Thanks for sticking around until the very end. And if you're looking for another adventure, you'll love our video about this strange Flintstone artifact we recently found. See you next time!